Hi everybody, it's Richard here again and welcome to my final video of 2019. This time I thought I'd take a look at some compilations, best ofs, the greatest hits of, the collection of, and so forth. A lot of people don't like these type of albums because they think they're a bit of a con, having to pay out money for songs they already have. But in my view, I think they're actually quite good, especially if you don't know the group or you're wanting to see what they're actually like and you want to maybe try and get into them. So I thought I'd show some albums where the greatest hits or the compilation of was the first album I actually heard, and then it made me go back and buy that artist's back catalogue. Now first I will say that there's no David Bowie one here because I started buying the back catalogue before I actually got a greatest hits, and that was in 1980 at Christmas time, around that time anyway, when I got the catalogue Best Of album. But by that time I already had about 7 David Bowie albums, so he will not be included. So there's quite a few albums here, so I will race through them. Okay, the first one is ABBA's Greatest Hits. This came into our household in around 1976. This is great. This is just a compilation of their first 3 albums. There wasn't very many hit singles off this. There was only SOS, Waterloo, Fernando and Mamma Mia were the only big hits. A couple of minors like Ring Ring and I Do, I Do, I Do, I Do, I Do. But whenever it says this takes the best of the first 3 albums, it really does. And this made me go and explore ABBA's catalogue, and obviously the albums that followed this are actually brilliant, excellent, but the first 3 albums weren't too bad either. So ABBA's Greatest Hits. This is Leonard Cohen's Greatest Hits, and I bought this in the 80s and I went back in the 90s and started buying the CDs. Yeah, this is absolutely magnificent. Sisters of Mercy, Bird in the Wire, Lady Midnight from the second album is one of my favourite songs of his. Who by Fire, Hey, That's No Way to Say Goodbye, and the extremely catchy So Long Marianne. Absolutely wonderful album, and his solo albums, especially in the 60s and 70s, are all excellent. Not as keen in the 80s stuff, although what's the one, The Future's not a bad album, and the one before it with First We Take Manhattan's actually quite good as well. Don't like that Hallelujah song, I never have. Roy Orbison, and this is the all-time greatest hits of Roy Orbison. Can't go wrong with this, with Only the Lonely, In Dreams, Oh Pretty Woman, Running Scared, Blue Angel, Blue Bayou, etc, etc, etc. And I have since gone back on CD again and got all his albums, and I've still I'm actually now going back and getting the vinyl albums. I've got quite a few of them. So Roy Orbison, fantastic singer. The Drifters, this is 24 original hits, and this takes in the Atlantic years and the Bell years. So you have your At the Club, Saturday Night at the Movies, Save the Last Dance for Me, along with things like There Goes My First Love, Kissing in the Back Row of the Movies, Love Games, Hello Happiness, etc. Brilliant double album. The Who, Meaty Beaty Big and Bouncy, can't go wrong with this either. All the hits from the 60s, I'm a Boy, My Generation, Kids Are Alright, Pinball Wizard, Substitute, and so forth. Yeah, and it was this, the first Who album I ever heard, and I went back to buy a lot of the Who albums, and I've got most of them now on vinyl, and I do actually like Quadrophenia now. So that's the Who, Meaty Beaty Big and Bouncy. 10cc's Greatest Hits, and this is a fantastic album. Starts with Rubber Bullets and ends with I'm Not in Love, and it has all the hits including Dreadlock Holiday, Silly Love, Donna, Life is a Minestrone, the absolutely wonderful The Dean and I. I do like 10cc, although I do prefer them with Godly and Cream in them. Their first album and their second album for me are their best too. So that's 10cc's Greatest Hits. The Velvet Underground, this was one of the last 10 vinyl albums I would have bought before I transferred to CD. I had some Lou Reed albums and I knew Lou Reed quite well, but I never had any Velvet Underground. Bought this and I knew a few songs like Sweet Jane, obviously, Pale Blue Eyes I knew, and I knew was it Heroin. But yeah, this is absolutely brilliant. Songs like What Goes On was covered by Brian Ferry, so I actually knew it as well. Beginning to See the Light is excellent, as is All Tomorrow's Parties, which I knew from Japan. So that's the Velvet Underground, the best of. Another one of those later bought albums is Steppin' Out by Joe Jackson. And I admit I really bought it only for it's different for girls, but this album blew me away. Fools in Love, is she really going out with him and you, obviously. Steppin' Out, fantastic song, great album, and then I went out and started buying the CDs. The Cars, I bought this when it was released. Primarily actually for just what I needed, because I loved that song and I saw them doing it live on Live Aid. Yeah, this is brilliant. Tonight She Comes was the single released off this. It was specific for this album. Touch and Go, I've always loved. You Might Think, it's got a fantastic video. My Best Friend's Girl and Shake It Up. Absolutely brilliant album. I do really like The Cars. And the one that they released after this that did very little door to door is brilliant as well. Billy Joel got this at the time, and this is Greatest Hits Volume 1 and Volume 2. Now Volume 1 was never released separately, it was only ever released with this double pack. Excellent. Piano Man, Say Goodbye to Hollywood, Moving Out, She's Always a Woman, My Life, all in Volume 1. It would be the better of the two discs. Is Still Rock and Roll to Me, Allentown, Uptown Girl, The Longest Time, all in Volume 2, still excellent. Brilliant album. Volume 3, which was released as a single CD, isn't as good, but still not bad. So Billy Joel, Greatest Hits Volume 1 and 2. Albert Hammond, I originally had this on tape and played this to death whenever I was at the university. The Free Electric Band, It Never Rains in Southern California, The Air That I Breathe, When I Need You. He's just a fantastic songwriter. I love this. His first two albums remind me a little bit of the Cat Stevens, Teaser and the Firecat type albums. Very acoustic-y, but an absolutely wonderful, wonderful songwriter. And I've seen him live, and I shook his hand. The Kinks, 20 Golden Greats, first Kinks album to come into our household. You Really Got Me up to 8 Man, all the normal suspects are there. Like Dedicated Follower of Fashion, Sunny Afternoon, etc. Plastic Man's actually on this, which is a great number, and this was reduced from £4.29 to £2.50. XTC Waxworks singles 1977 to 82, and this was released at the end of 82. So this really has all the singles from Science Friction up to Ball and Chain. Excellent album, excellent singles. Went back and started buying the CDs after this. It was a few years though, because I got this at the time. So whenever I bought actually XTC Fossil Fuel double greatest hits, and it was really that got me buying the albums on CD, the original albums. But it was this one that really introduced me to the band. And I did actually buy some of the singles that were released after this on 7-inch. So that's XTC, the singles, Waxworks singles 77 to 82. And along with that album, you got the B-sides album, so this came as a double pack as well. And this is actually not bad as well. There's some really good songs, like always like Don't You Lose Your Temper, always thought it was a great wee number. Similar type album, this is a Greatest Hits 1 and 2. 12 Gold Bars, Volume 1 and Volume 2, Status Quo. It's really 12 Gold Bars Volume 2 with a free Volume 1 with it, which is why I bought it, because Volume 1 is better. And you have great songs like Down Down, Caroline, Whatever You Want, Mystery Song, all brilliant songs, Paper Plane. And Volume 2 is not half bad either, with things like What You're Proposing, Lies, Dear John, Something About You Baby I Like, Old Rag Blues, Margarita Time. Really good Quo double album. Donna Summer on the Radio, another great double album, and this is good because all the songs segue into each other. The only stuff I knew of this at the time I thought was Love to Love You Baby and I Feel Love, but obviously I knew No More Tears and Hot Stuff. But I didn't know Try Me, I Know We Can Make It, which is my favourite song, and the way that segues into I Feel Love is magnificent. So this is the best Donna Summer album you can actually buy. Mike Oldfield, the complete collection, or just the complete Mike Oldfield, and this is great. Side 1 is actually little instrumental songs like the hits, like in Dulce Jubilo, Arrival, the ABBA song Blue Peter, Guilty, Etude. Side 2 is the vocal songs with things like Moonlight Shadow, Family Man, 5 Miles Out, Crime of Passion to France, Shadow on the Wall. Then side 3 you get excerpts from the early albums, like excerpt from Oh My Dawn, Tubular Bells, Hergest Ridge, Incantations. And then side 4 is live material. This is absolutely excellent, and I started buying Mike Oldfield albums after this one. This was in 1985. Rolling Stones, Roll Gold. This came into the household in the late 70s, and this is the decade years from Come On to Gimme Shelter. The US equivalent of this would be Hot Rocks, but this is absolutely magnificent. You know, you can't go wrong. You've all the singles plus the choice LP tracks, absolutely fantastic. And then I went out and I got Aftermath and Between the Buttons, and then them all. Elton John's greatest hits from 1974, brilliant, from Your Song right through to Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. This is the UK version that has Candle in the Wind on it, not Benny and the Jets. And the one song that always stood out for me as the weakest song, and it's one of my favourites now, is Honky Cat from the Honky Chateau album. I love this. This got taped. I never actually had this album. I had it, I borrowed it, taped it and played it to death. So Elton John's greatest hits, and then I went and got Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. The Beach Boys, 20 Golden Greats. This got to #1 in the mid-70s, I think it's 1976, and this has just got 20 gems on it, starting with Surfing in the USA through to Breakaway. All the big hits are here. They're massive. Fun Fun Fun, I Get Around, Don't Worry Baby, Little Deuce Coupe, Help Me Rhonda, California Girl, Slip John B, God Only Knows, Good Vibrations, Heroes and Villains, Do It Again. All excellent, and I still think this is the best single disc greatest hits by the Beach Boys. Absolutely wonderful. We're only about 4 left, so we're not doing too bad. Sladest by Slade. This was released in 1973, and my brother got this for Christmas. And you know, every time he played it, I was down in his room listening to it. I love it. And then we went out and we got other Slade albums, Slade and Play It Loud, and then we followed Slade. Well, it was really my brother who bought them, but Old New Board and Blue came next, then Slade and Flame, and Nobody's Fools. Fantastic band, fantastic glam rock album. My parents had this and I love it. This is the best of the Seekers, and I have since bought their original albums on CD and on vinyl. Judith Durham's voice on this is fantastic. I'll Never Find Another You, The Carnival Is Over, A World of Our Own, Island of Dreams, Morning Town Ride, Georgie Girl is all great 60s stuff from the Australian group. The best of the Seekers, wonderful. And another one that my parents had was Simon & Garfunkel's Greatest Hits, and this was one of the first ones to make me go out and buy albums, and I bought Sounds of Silence, followed by Parsley, Sage, Rosemary and Thyme, then it was Bridge Over Troubled Water, then Bookends, and then lastly Wednesday Morning 3 AM. But what it also did, it made me go out and buy all Paul Simon solo material. Now I started buying these albums around 1981 again. It was one of the, after Bowie and Bowen, Paul Simon was the first artist I really got into. I absolutely love this album. It's really great, and there's a couple of live versions on this as well, which makes it a little bit more unique. And lastly, I'm going to show, and I've showed this before, and this deserves to be showed last, and this is T-Rex Ride a White Swan, and this is a Music for Pleasure album that really got me into music, back into music when I was 14. I'd given up on the skateboard and on riding the bike and so forth, and rather than just listen to the music of the day. And I just got the old record player from my brother, and I had this on vinyl, so I had no choice but to play it. But this knocked me for six. I love this, and this is hippie trippy Tyrannosaurus Rex material with Ride a White Swan added. But it's an absolutely fantastic album. Lofty Skies is my favourite on the whole album. Consuela is up there. Ride a White Swan, of course. Elemental Child, King of the One, Rumbling Spires, Deborah, Child Star, all brilliant stuff. Love this album, and I'll always say this is one of the best albums ever released. This actually was it was an album that was originally released as the best of T-Rex on Fly Records, but they dropped 3 songs and added Ride a White Swan to make it a budget album, and this actually sold, I think it actually sold quite well. It didn't chart, but there's a lot of people seem to have bought this. So this is T-Rex, Ride a White Swan. Okay, so that's some of the albums, the best of compilation albums that made me go out and explore the artist's catalogue. And there's some other ones there as well, and there's some that I bought that made me didn't go out. For example, is it Glenn Campbell's 20 Golden Greats, which I think is a fantastic album, but that'll do me for Glenn Campbell. But anyway, that's me for now. I hope you all have a very good new year, and I hope to see you in the new year with another video. All the best now. Bye bye.